Hi folks, hope this video finds you well. My name's Kev. I've been working on this tune for a couple of weeks now and I've got it to where I'm more or less happy with it. I think it probably could do with a few more days to just put the polish on it, but let's go for it anyway. For those of you that don't like all the waffle and just want to get stuck into it and watch my fingers, then I've done a playthrough for you and you can take from that whatever you want. For the rest of us mere mortals, after that I will do a phrase by phrase breakdown for you. Before I get stuck into it, I'd just like to say, if you find this video interesting, helpful, or just entertaining, please hit the wee thumbs up button down there below. Maybe leave a comment as well. Maybe even consider subscribing. It really does help the algorithm push this video out to other people. It's just the way YouTube works. Okay, so let's get stuck into it.
Stray cat strut, I'm a lady's cat. I feel like Casanova, man, that's where it's at. I get a shoe thrown at me by a mean old man and get my dinner from a garbage can. Don't cross my path. For a fight, howling in the moonlight on a hot summer's night, singing the blues while the lady cats cry. Wild stray cat, you're a real gone guy. I wish I could be as carefree and wild, but I got cat class and I got cat style. Chasing mice around, I slink down the alley looking for a fight, howling in the moonlight on a hot summer's night, singing the blues while the lady cats cry. Wild stray cat, you're a real gone guy. I wish I could be as carefree and wild, but I got cat class and I got cat style.
Stray Cat Strut was released in 1981, 1982, somewhere around about then. I think it reached number 11 in the UK chart. Personally, I think it should have got further than that, but hey, such is life. Sometimes some tunes need a bit of time to marinate, I would say, before the people realise how good they actually were. Brian Setzer was in his early 20s when he wrote this. Just goes to show what a great guitar player he always has been. I certainly found it quite challenging, some of this stuff. He uses augmented and diminished minor scales, pentatonics. There's all sorts, all in this one tune. As I say, I'm not going to go through all the music theory behind it, because we'll be here forever. It'll be an awful long video, and there are a couple of other really good videos on YouTube you can do research on that go into the music theory just behind this particular song. Well worth a watch. I found them quite interesting anyway. So anyway, let's get started. Let's get stuck into it. Going to start off with a little slide from the 7th up to the 8th fret on the B and E strings, and give it a little bit of a wobble on your wiggly stick. And then a bend on the G string on the 10th fret down to the 8th. That's it. So we slide up there from the 7th to the 8th, B and D strings. And then this sort of lick is kind of pentatonic. So that's a slight bend on the 10th fret. It comes off to the 8th fret, and then down to the D string, 10 to 8. So. And then we've got this little augmented chord that's an arpeggio, which is a 10 on the A string, 9 on the D string, 8 on the G string, and 8 on the B string. Then it drops down, 6 on the B, 6 on the G, 7 on the D, 8 on the G. So all together. Once more. It's a very sort of odd, dissonant kind of sounds, but it really catches your ear because it's different. It's not standard pop music, is it? So straight after that, we go into this sort of descending cadence. So E string starts off just on the E string alone. 8th fret, 6th fret, 4th fret, 3rd fret. And then we go into octaves of that. So we're going to play the 8th fret on the E string and the 10th fret on the D string. We're going to mute the A string, and we're not going to play any other strings. It just goes through that a couple of times during the oohs. Then it expands that into full chords. So we're going to C minor. So that is an E minor shape, the bar on the 8th fret. And we're going to stretch out to the rest of the strings, especially on the upstroke. So downstroke, and I'm just sort of playing the lowest 3 strings, the E, A and D strings, and then bring it up from the whole lot of it. So, and then we go into this 7th shape. So that is a B flat 7, and that is like an E7. So that's like your E chord but with an open D string. So a 7 chord but with a bar on the 6th fret. Take that same shape, move it down another 2 frets so the bar's on the 4th. and then one more to the bar on the 3rd fret. So we got C minor, B7 or B flat 7, A flat 7, G7. And it's kind of got this, with the rhythmic part of it, it's kind of got this little snatch that it comes onto that G. So that's where the sort of higher level oohs come in for that part. And then when he starts on the vocal, he's just playing the bass strings again, really, as far as strumming as far as up to the G string, really. And then between each vocal line, he goes back to that original part from the intro. So, black and orange stray cat sitting on a fan. So we're bringing in those high strings again, and then back to got no dough to pay the rent. Flat broke, but I don't care. I strut right by with my tail in the air. And that is just hitting that C minor chord, that E minor shaped bar chord with a bar on the 8th fret. You can lift the bar off and just slide right the way down on the A and D strings. So it then swaps over to an F minor, which is on the same bar on the same fret, but this time we're going to do an A minor shape. So bar on the 8th fret, and that is D string 10th fret, G string 10th fret, B string 9th fret. And then we come down to a E flat, bar on the 6th fret, A string on the 6th fret, D string 8th fret, G string 8th fret, B string 8th fret, E string on the under the bar on the 6th fret. Move that down 2 frets, and then we do a 7th there, which is the same thing again, but we're leaving the G string open to the bar, so the G string's now being played on the 3rd fret there. So it's F minor, E flat, D flat, C7. Stray cat strut, I'm a lady's cat. Feline Casanova, man, that's where it's at. Let me by a mean old man. So it goes down 3 times, and then slide that exactly the same as we did on for the C minor. We do for the F minor. Lift the bar off and slide that down. Get my dinner from a garbage can comes under there, yeah. And then it's back to the original part we were doing before. Twice. And then we go from there into the solo. So, solo starts with this G string on the 10th fret, and we give that a good wobble, and then that is the B and E strings on the 8th fret again, and then we get this same bend that we had before. It's just that exact same lick that we had from the intro, but instead we're not going to go into that augmented chord this time. So take that D string, we're on the 8th fret there, go down to the 6th fret, back to the 8th, little hammer on and pull off, and drop it down to the 5th. So. Then we come down to the A string on the 2nd fret and slide up to the 3rd. You're going to have to use your pinky for this one. So A string, slide up from 2 to 3, 5, 6, cross over to the D string on the 3rd, up to the 5th, sorry I did that wrong, slide up from the 2nd to the 3rd, 5th, 6, 3 on the D, 5 on the D, then back to 6 on the A, then 5, back to 3. So and then we're going to take back to this 5th fret on the D, slide that up to the 6, 5th fret on the G, 4th fret on the B, that's gone up to the 7th fret on the B, drop that down to the 6th fret on the B and give it a little bit of a bend on your waggly stick. So then we play this again. That's really is that C minor, but just playing the top 4 strings of it. So we get a 4-string chord there. That's 10th fret on the D and 8th fret on the G, B and E strings. 2 down strokes. Then we move that down and we get this chord shape here, which is a G minor, I think. I'll put chord windows up so you can see where it is. Some of these chords have got multiple names, so I'll give you the best ones that I think fit for this. So whenever you get a chord that's got more than 3 notes in it, you can then start looking at it from different angles, and you know, it could have multiple names for the same thing. But basically it's like a D minor shape, but with the 3rd we've got an F there on our D minor, we've got another F there, so it's like doubling up on the 3rd is what's happening there. So it's quite a common shape to use actually. So again, 2 down strokes on that, move it down another 2, and then it comes down down 1 more, but the pinky stays where it is. So I find it easier to keep that bar across, especially for the first move, and then I tidy up the chord shape after that. But you do it whichever way works for you. So I'm playing the same notes. I've just, instead of holding that bar down there, I've put it back to just the high E string, because that's all it's playing anyway. Excuse me. And then we get this really fast little run that was the one that sort of like gave me the biggest challenge anyway, just for the speed of it. I'm not convinced I've got it fast enough yet, really. I think he plays it quicker. We're going 3rd fret on the A string, 7th fret, 3rd fret, 5th fret, 6th fret, all on the A string, and then we go to the D string on the 4th fret, and it's that rhythm that you want. Ba, ba, da, da. We'll carry on that on from there. Do the exact same move, but from that starting point. So we're going 4th fret, D string this is, 4th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret, and we end up on the 5th fret of the G string. So do the same thing again. Now from G, from 5, 7, 8, and we land on the B string on the 7th fret. So all together. Wee bit of a bend. High E string, 8th fret. And we come back to the G string on the 7th fret. Wee bit of a quarter note bend. Take it back to the 5th fret on the G string. From there we do the slide up in double stops. So we go 5th fret, G string, 4th fret, B string. We move that shape up 2 frets. And then we bring our pinky in when we get to the 8th fret. So we've gone 5th and 4th, 7th and 6th, and then 8, 8. And then back to that first shape again. So when I get up to here on the 10th and 9th fret on the G and B, I'm also going to add in the high E string on the 8th fret. So we get, and this is the I Don't Bother Chasing Mice Around section. So pinky comes in the high E string on the 10th fret. And then we get that C minor shape, top 4 strings of your C minor again. And with pinky, you still use the pinky coming in that high E string again. So here I'm just holding down the B and G and B strings, sliding down the fret and back up again. So from the 8th to the 7th and back. At all slides, I'm not plucking each one of those. And then up to this chord here, which I believe is the top 4 strings of a D7 chord. So that's same shape we were playing in the verse part of it, but we're only playing the top 4 strings of it here. So that is D string on the 10th fret, G string on the 11th, and B and D on the 10th. Move it down 1 fret and add the pinky in, or you could do it with your ring finger, on the high E string on the 11th fret. So maybe hit that twice. And then you're back into that first section again. Do that through twice. I think in the original here, the rest of this is an overdub, because that goes along quietly in the background underneath this next section, which is again that C minor, top 4 strings of. Give it a bit of a wobble. So pluck the D string first, then strum across the 3 strings, the D, G and B strings, with a little bit of a wobble, and then come down to a A flat 7. Then take that finger off the G string on the 5th fret and move it to the D string on the 5th fret. The rest of your fingers stay exactly the same place. Do that 4 times. Etc, etc. Now the 5th time round we get this slide from that C minor shape that we were playing the top 4 strings of. So D 10th fret, G, B and E on the 8th fret, but this time we're going to start 1 fret below and slide up to it. And then we get this diminished chord. So the actual chord is the 10th fret on the D and the B strings, and the 11th fret on the G and E strings. That's the actual chord. To make it easier to play, just bar across and put the other 2 fingers in. Move it down 1 fret. So second time round, we do that slide up. Then we're going to bend that G string on the 10th fret again. Come back to the 8th fret. And then do this little arpeggio here, which is the 6th fret on the D string, 5th fret on the G string, and 4th fret on the B string. Move it down a fret and do the same thing again. Go back to that C minor shape again. And do those diminished chords again. So altogether that section goes and then you get this run down the C minor pentatonic. So, sounds complicated, it's actually not. If you know the minor pentatonic shape, it's not difficult at all, really. So I'm going to start off, put my first finger on the 8th fret on the high E string. I'm going to pluck the high E string, but holding down the 11th fret, pull off to the 10th fret, and then pull off to the 8th fret. Do the exact same thing on the B string. These little bends around the G string again. Come across to, so it's coming down to the 8th fret and then across to the D string. And then we have this rake. So I'm going to palm mute here. Pluck the A string. I'm holding down the G and the D and the G strings on the 8th fret. I kind of lift the palm mute off as I'm coming backwards with a pick on the 8th fret of that G string. That's 10th fret D string, 8th fret D string, 10th fret A string, back to the 8th fret D string, 10th fret A string again, 8th fret A string. So all together. And then we're straight back into the I don't bother chasing mice around again section. So exactly the same thing as we did before. And then we're back back into that rundown again. The C, full C minor, B flat 7, A flat 7, G7. So. Three times. Fourth time is just that slide down again. And then the final bit, the outro, starts almost exactly the same as what we just did with that rundown on the C minor pentatonic. Once we go from here, we're going to go to the 10th fret on the A and then drop down to the 7th, 9th, 10th on the G. So. And then end on this chord here, which is, I can't remember off the top of my head what that is. It's a minor 13th or something like that. I'll put it up in a chord window. So what I'm holding down there is bar across the 8th fret, second finger on the A string on the 10th fret, ring finger on the 10th fret of the B string, and then add the pinky in on the 10th fret there as well. I think it's a 9th or a 13th or something like that. And that is the whole tune. So as I said, quite a lot to it. So I do apologise for the length of this video. I hope I've made it clear enough for you. Hope you enjoy playing it. I certainly have. It's a bit of a challenge to learn. It takes a little bit of time dedicated to it, I think. Especially because if you're anything like me, you're kind of used to playing pentatonics and maybe major and minor scales. You're maybe not so used to some of those moves with the sort of augmented and diminished runs that are in there. So they can sort of, basically tie your fingers in knots, really. It kind of feels like that anyway sometimes. So anyway, it's a great tune and well worth the effort to learn. Once you get stuck into it, it's not that hard. Just break it down into sections, play it slow, and as your confidence builds with it, as your fingers start going through it, speed it up a little bit. Keep speeding it up till you get it up to the right level. If you're getting stuck on any particular bits, you should practice all your tunes really when you're learning them. Instead of starting from the beginning of the song and playing the bit you know, just concentrate on the section that you're struggling with and keep going over and over that section until you get it, and then put it into the whole. Find that you'll progress further with it. Problem you get quite a lot of the time is if you go back to the beginning. Let's say I kept messing up on that solo or part of that solo. If I go right back to the beginning of the song again and play through, the chances are I'm going to make that same mistake again when I get to it. So just by skipping out the beginning part that you already know, go straight to the section that you're struggling with, practice that part over and over and over until you get it nailed. Then go back to the beginning of the song and take it up until the next part that you're going to struggle with, and do the same with that again. Tend to find that, for me anyway, that always works. It's just one of those things, it's a more efficient way of learning, I think, anyway, that's enough waffle for me. I hope you enjoyed the tune. Don't forget, hit the like button, leave a wee comment. Also, maybe if there's any other tunes that you'd like me to have a look at, songs that you love, you'd like to learn how to play, you want me to do a wee breakdown of those, drop them in the comments. I'll be happy to have a look. Cheers folks, thanks for watching, bye bye.